Today, I'll be talking about an older drama I wanted to cover literally years ago, probably whenever it first started happening, but I never got to it for whatever reason, and now that I have a big project I'm working on in the background, I'm able to finally do this video. I wanted to talk about it today as I don't think anyone really ever covered this situation that was pretty scummy and never really talked about by anyone. To start, let's go over the people in this situation. Brandon Herrera, a politician but also gun YouTuber with nearly 4 million subscribers. He makes videos around guns, safety, and even the politics of them and more. Next person in this is Donut Operator, an ex-cop and now YouTuber with over 5 million subscribers, who on his main channel makes videos looking over police body cam footage and critiquing both the criminal and cop whenever necessary. And now the main culprit of this video, I Did a Thing, a YouTuber with nearly 5.5 million subscribers who makes YouTube videos making random stuff or, quote, doing a thing, I guess you could say. About 3 years ago now, the YouTuber I Did a Thing made a video where he put a gun on a robot and titled it, quote, I put a gun on a robot dog. On the surface, this video doesn't seem like a bad idea, but watching it, you immediately can see that it is clearly a anti-gun / political video, focusing more so on schools.
How you going? I've been in the USA for a month, and in that time there's been 63 mass shootings, including the Robb Elementary School in Uvalde. And you know, I intended to come here and make something really dangerous, but I've now realized I can't compete with normal, everyday American life. So instead, I'm going to attempt to help and solve America's school problem by strapping it to this robot dog. And you may think this is a dumb way of stopping schools, and so do I, but there are so many people out there that genuinely believe more in the classroom is the answer to a kid bringing to a classroom.
If they beat somebody, a good guy with a... We should have a law enforcement officer at every school.
Is armed law enforcement on the campus and prepare and train teachers and other administrators.
So here's my pitch to you. Let's skip having an armed person in every classroom, as the cops in Uvalde failed to do anything anyway. So instead, every school in America has a robot dog with a gun on it. Then, when an armed person enters the room, bam, the dog smashes out of the cupboard and neutralizes the threat. And the best part, unlike cops, robot dogs don't get scared.
Really shows off how he doesn't understand or anything of the sort, attempts to trash Americans, its schools, and culture. His vocabulary, editing style, and overall attitude was hugely anti throughout the entirety of the video. He doesn't really have a good knowledge or understanding of them, and even going as far as to act overly skittish as possible when an unloaded gun is on top of the dog, and was also just skittish in other situations as well.
The system works by having a servo motor here with a string attached to the servo arm, which runs through the trigger. Then all we did was connect the servo to a remote control, and now that works so easily.
Oh, don't film me.
What did you make, William?
It's able to squeeze the trigger of this fake, which is honestly already terrifying. The mounting system was not going to fit the dog how we thought it would. So we had to make some changes, which we couldn't do in our hotel room. So we put on some hard hats and high vis and sat in the parking lot of our hotel with some work cones, and no one asked any questions. We managed to get the mount to properly fit. So now we just had to get...
Oh my god.
And lucky for us, we were in the same place as Brandon Herrera, one of YouTube's biggest channels, and a man that lives just down the road from the Uvalde and believes America needs more. And even though Brandon and I share very different political opinions, I got in touch with him and explained what we were doing, and he agreed to let us go to his range where we could safely shoot and to also use some of... Now Brandon has a lot, like a lot, and definitely was practicing his Second Amendment right to bear arms by owning a missile, a gun for taking down helicopters, and a World War I machine. Now I definitely wouldn't try to rob a man with a missile. So we think the dog is working well enough, so we packed it up and a heap of guns.
What do you call this position?
The T-pose.
What does it do?
It makes it obvious that no one is touching the remotes.
And seeing this robot dog in real life actually walk around with the gun on top of it was pretty surreal and terrifying. And I feel bad even setting up these targets. So let's hope the dog is accurate enough to only take out the bad guys. And this is where it starts to get very dangerous. As before it was stationary, but now the dog is going to be running around with a submachine with 30 rounds of ammunition.
This is starting to feel very real now.
Yeah. Now I'm nervous.
I'm really nervous.
And it wasn't only us, the gun boys were also very nervous around this when it was placed in the hands of something unpredictable.
Ow! 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 What the f*** are you doing? Can you press the button? Can you press the button?
And you know how I said I was scared of this thing before? And people online are always saying how scared they are of these becoming the future of warfare? I now kind of feel the opposite and less worried about robots. These things are expensive and, more importantly, idiots. And if the military wants to kill people, it's always going to be cheaper and easier for them to just trick young boys into doing it for them.
Yes. Yeah, I hate this so much.
I love it. This is going to be a day to remember for one reason or the other.
Him saying something like, "It's terrifying we could even make this as we're just a bunch of idiots, guys." It's really insane.
And seeing this robot dog in real life actually walk around with on top of it was pretty surreal and terrifying, especially knowing how easy it was for us idiots with no real experience to make this in a couple of days.
And this thing works too, but let me show you how long it takes to actually set up a shot and aim it.
Dog test shot.
Yes! Oh, nice.
And the aiming was pretty difficult, but it is accurate.
They also used one of the worst robot dogs ever, apparently, that either moves on its own or they just suck at controlling, as it tips over a lot, and anyone can kick that robot dog, and just any robot dog, over pretty easily or trip them to get control of it for the most part. They even mainly aim at the kids in the video. Whenever they set up targets to reenact the school situation, they mainly aim at the kids and wonder why those targets got hit.
So we moved on and set up some props to test how the dog goes in a school situation.
I think our aim is going to be to not the children.
Well, a pretty controversial statement.
And I thought the gun boys would stop us when we whipped out the school kid, but they were still keen for me to put them up and run through a scenario.
Not one of for this, right?
No, we're not. I'm aiming for the adolescent and the old man.
What? The adolescent?
The man in the middle chewing gum. The man.
The bad man.
The bad man.
The bad man who's selling at the school playground. The bad man and the to the left. Hey, come on, you know that man
The
looks
bad
great.
man and the next to the bad man. Oh no.
That man's grandchildren do not go to this school. All right, it's in semi. It's hot.
Get down here.
And I feel bad even setting up these targets. So let's hope the dog is accurate enough to only take out the bad guys.
So we're trying to hit this guy
Yep.
and this guy. Shit.
And after reviewing the damage, it was worse than I thought.
Oh, Alan!
Wait, what?
Absolutely. This kid. That was if that's what you were going for, you did a great job.
For that. I was going for his bubble.
I didn't hit any bad guys, and I one kid. It's alright though. I think I've worked out the problem. We need more ammunition, and we need to be fully automatic.
It is so deliberately shown in the video as well, what they were doing. They don't even show the GoPro footage of them trying to aim it either. He says in the video he talked to Brandon Herrera beforehand explaining what they were wanting to do, but I heavily doubt that he went into detail about what the video was going to be about and how he was making an anti-video and using school situations, as even in Brandon's own vlog of the situation titled "We Put a Machine on a Robot Dog," he was confused as to why these cardboard cutout targets were there.
And even though Brandon and I share very different political opinions, I got in touch with him and explained what we were doing, and he agreed to let us go to his range where we could safely and to also use some of his.
Brandon, it was us.
Were those cardboard targets from them you were showing me?
Yeah.
What's up? The cardboard targets. That were you were like, who sent these?
Oh, is that what it was?
That's ours.
I was wondering, I'm like, who the sent this?
Because we want to do a hostage situation, see if we could in between.
So it's
kids.
right over here, yeah. Oh, I was confused. I was like, is this a sick joke? Like, my guys were like, are you planning like a really video? What the
Wait, that looks like, that's like,
massive.
what's that show, like Fairly Odd Parents?
Even whenever asked about these things, I Did a Thing even attempts to be vague and not explain what he's doing by calling it a hostage situation, and also saying that they are just targets and not going into detail about what these targets are, before being exposed pretty soon about it being kids and grown adults. Although still not going into, oh, it's a school situation.
And then we were thinking of doing like a hostage situation and seeing if the dog can come in, take out a specific target, not hit other targets in the room.
That'd be dope. Do you guys got like a baby doll or something?
We bought a bunch of targets.
Yeah.
So we moved on and set up some props to test how the dog goes in a school shooting situation. A hostage situation, what a bunch of targets. Yeah. And I thought the gun boys would stop us when we whipped out the school kid targets, but they were still keen for me to put them up and run through a school scenario. A hostage situation, what a bunch of targets. Yeah. And even though Brandon and I share very different political opinions, I got in touch with him and explained what we were doing, and he agreed to let us go to his range where we could safely and to also use some of his.
And I Did a Thing saying that they didn't question what he was doing is also not exactly true either. As shown in the vlog, they do question like the targets and everything about them, and also they're an edgier group anyway, so I don't think they'd completely mind what he was doing in general, but attempting to make them look even worse is a weird thing to do. Video is a cool idea, don't get me wrong, but it was completely ruined by politics and over dramatizing everything in the video. Brandon Herrera responded in his own video, the vlog itself actually, saying this.
Sexy YouTube mother lovers. So you may have noticed recently I did a collaboration with a YouTuber known as I Did a Thing, in which he called me up and asked me to do a thing. A thing in this case was putting a machine on a robot dog. Of course, this was made a little bit more political than I would have liked, but we'll get to that later. In the meantime, enjoy us and William Osman doing a thing. Now I know what you're probably thinking. Self-professed anti-YouTubers would hate being around these machines, right? But you'd be shocked how much attitudes change a little bit when you load up a couple magazines out at the ranch.
Oh!
God!
Dude, you could see the shockwave.
To the ground. Anybody else want to shoot it? Alright, so she's already on fire. It should be. See, I just tucked that pad into your shoulder. Pretty tight.
That's
He doesn't care.
awesome.
2 in a row. Oh.
That hurts your head.
Yeah,
Is the gas just reverted back or does it just bounce back?
Yeah, it's direct blowback. So there's no lockup, there's no gas system, anything. Literally, they just use the weight of the bolt to slow down so that the cartridges don't just blow up. But it's the back pressure from the round cycle. The bolt's gonna hang up in the rear and just send it forward. That's when you start fire.
How much does it kick?
Not really not much at all, really.
Okay. Oh my God, that's awesome! The whole thing dumped.
Yeah?
It didn't jam or anything.
Wow, that's a 4-leaf clover right there, because this thing is, yeah, she struggles.
Wow.
She struggles a lot.
You gonna make one of these?
The famous piece of looting machine gun that got a guy into a whole lot of trouble. I don't know if it was worth it, but
Bunnings gun. Yeah, that's pretty cool. 3, 2, 1. That's cool.
Ah, that was so much fun.
Yeah, that looks sick.
Percussive therapy. So they get kidney stones to dissolve. They just shoot a 50 cal next to you and it breaks them up.
It's like being slapped in the face, wakes you up a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, now that we got that out of the way, we'll go down to Walmart and get your citizenship to America.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Now, time to talk about the elephant in the room. The anti-slant of Alex's video. For the record, I never knew this was the message that I Did a Thing was going to try to send with this video. And if you weren't aware, there was a pretty big anti-message in this video. Literally opening the video in front of the Uvalde School Memorial. But the part that sucks is even if I knew that, I still would have agreed to collaborate. I had an amazing time out there with Alex, Alexa, William. I enjoyed a lot of the opportunity to just hang out and work together. Despite what people might think, I'm a free speech absolutist. No matter how much I might disagree with their opinion, I would never sabotage their right to be able to say what they believe. I just wish as fellow content creators we could be open, honest, and respect each other. Because when you really think about it, we're all on the same mission. We're here to try to bring content, entertainment, laughs to our audience, and try to make people's lives just a little bit better than it would have been without us. And that's something I think is worth doing. And on that note, I hope you enjoyed both videos. Be excellent to each other, and I'll see you sexy YouTube mother lovers in the next video.
A very calm and fair response that I don't think I Did a Thing was actually expecting. Donut Operator made tweets in response to this saying, LOL, I Did a Thing deleted all the top comments on his video calling him out for being a snake to Brandon. Too long didn't read, he took advantage of our hospitality. He made this, then links to the video. Just took advantage of our hospitality, time and money, no biggie, upside down smiling emoji. Which is very true. These guys are known to bring out a bunch of YouTubers for shooting range days and hangouts. Overall just being nice and calm people despite, what people would like to say or their views. Understandably, Donut Operator is upset, but he looks more upset than Brandon in this entire situation. The comments I could find now after I Did the Thing mostly deleted all of them are here. One is by Pickaxe Attacks 1879 saying, dang, there seems to be a lot of comments missing from this video. I wonder why. Sun J Channel says, I'd just be a little uncomfortable making a hit piece on somebody who let me use thousands of dollars worth of equipment free of charge. Inconspicuous Doormat says, how dishonest, they aimed for the kids specifically. And that comment was from 2 weeks ago, so people are still viewing this video and seeing what they are doing. My thoughts on this are people come from completely different walks of life, and due to that they will have different opinions, especially different countries and stuff not completely understanding the entire situation, the culture, and everything in America. I've always said that politics is not a winning conversation. It's not even a conversation anymore. It's just arguments that aren't really worth having. But, like I said earlier, this was Scummy, being a freeloader of other people's stuff, thousands of dollars worth of stuff even, and then making a video that they wouldn't agree with, and also didn't give them an opportunity to talk to you about their side of the situation, is such weirdo behavior. I feel like if you wanted to go down the political route, then you could have at least given Brandon and Donut Operator a chance to speak on these topics. Overall, Alex Apollinov was a freeloader who used thousands of dollars of other people's equipment to make his own video on a topic he didn't have full knowledge or understanding of in a different country while trashing both the country itself and the people who helped him, not giving the people of that country with the most knowledge and experience in these topics a chance to speak for themselves. This was very scummy and should not be forgotten ever. I wonder if he's done this to other YouTubers in their videos, especially just like, come on bro, being a freeloader and then dogging on these guys is low-key insane. Like, it's just super weird and scummy. I don't know how anyone could really support that.
Now, the building process was a little bit different to my other videos, as when I came up with this idea, I didn't actually have the robot dog, or a place to shoot it, which turns out are all quite important. And I do actually happen to know a fellow YouTuber that owns a robot dog that he spent a very large amount of money on, which they've only filmed one video with, and is now collecting dust in their house without a gun strapped to it. But unfortunately, that person is lame and didn't want to get arrested. So I needed to find someone else that was keen. And lucky for me, a man named Jonathan Miller that lives in El Paso, Texas, agreed to let me use his robot dog, but on one condition. He needs to remain anonymous.
It's kind of like when Sam Hyde realized that iDubbbz was there to kind of expose him during that video, like he can't get away with it, iDubbbz' documentary video on Sam Hyde. It kind of reminds me of that type of situation where someone comes in, you think that they have good intentions, but you realize, oh, their intentions are actually not good at all. And that is, it's just so weird to me, man. But that's all I got for today. Let me know what you all think in the comments down below, and make sure to like and subscribe as I make videos on YouTube, dramas, locales, and more. Make sure to follow my Twitter, which is linked in the description below. And I honestly do really want to say thank you all for the support. It really does mean a lot to me. I know a lot of YouTubers just kind of sit there and say it as like a filler part, and also just to give thanks, which I don't always do in my videos, I don't think I always say thank you all for support, but I always am pretty thankful for it. Kind of afraid to jinx it, you know. But anyway, to go on, in the end, I'm PERK 30, and keep God close.
Man, shut your...